Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. So we're here with Hades. In this video I'm just going to talk briefly about a bruiser build for Hades. And this bruiser build, you will most often see this with other guardians like Zelkenon, Sobek. You really see this in the solo lane, so if you want to go like a solo lane guardian like the ones I mentioned, this build is pretty much used for those, as well as you can use this in other game modes if you feel like you can do fairly good with it. So don't mind clan chat. Sadly you can't really turn that off, so yeah. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the starter items. So for Conquest, for starter item for Hades, you have the Vampiric Shroud. One of the most common starter items to go with. If you don't want to go with the actual starter item, you can go straight to a stacking item. Most commonly seen is the Warlock Sash. This works really well with Hades, gives them both HP, mana, magical power, so all three stats that you look for a bruiser build for Hades. As well as Hades, I feel like he really needs the health anywhere you can get it, whether it's the Warlock Sash or the Ethereal Staff, because he is one of the lowest scaling guardians, if not the lowest scaling guardians as far as HP. Meaning you gain health per level and he gains the lowest out of all that. I think his base HP is even the lowest out of all guardians. So he lacks a lot of HP, but what he doesn't lack is protections. If you go by his Pillar of Agony, which you most use this in team fights, things like that, you actually do gain quite a bit of protections, and if you can manage to blight your targets, you can also reduce their protections as well. So that's where you get most of your protections, but you don't get health from that, obviously. So really helpful to go into. Another stacking item you can go into, actually the only other one besides Doom Orb, which rest in peace Doom Orb, you can start with the Book of Thoth. This is somewhat kind of looked at as greedy, but I feel like it's a really good item. You can pretty much pick this anywhere up in your build, from the 6th slot to the 1st slot, because it's based on the percentage of your mana. So if you were to get it like as your 5th or 6th item, it's not the worst thing possible, because you're a higher level by that time you get there, and you're going to have a lot larger of a mana pool. So it's not the worst thing. So I can show you a demonstration of that later on. But the build is pretty much you go into your starter item, the stacking or the actual starter item, then go straight into your boots. The boots is all what you feel like you want to go with. The Shoes of Magi for pen, and Shoes of Focus for mana, which works pretty well with the full mana build, which is like Shoes of Focus, Ethereal Staff or Warlocks, and as well as Breastplate of Valor and the Book of Thoth. All those items together have a whole bunch of mana, so you can do that type of mana build, and of course cooldown reduction is always nice, so just pick whichever one you want to go into. So let's pick a starter item first, go into the boots if you're choosing. Let's go with the Magi, and then from here you can go into a stacking item if you haven't picked it up already, or you can go straight into the Breastplate of Valor, which is a little bit more common of a pickup. Now if you don't want to stack the Warlock Sash, because you know that it's 100 stacks, so it's quite a bit. If you don't feel like just sitting in your lane getting the stacks up, or you're not getting a lot of kills, which also gives you stacks, whatever, then definitely go into Ethereal Staff. It's basically the same thing except without the stacks, and it's probably a little bit weaker against a fully stacked Warlock Sash, but it gets the job done. After this, you do need some type of magical protection, or else you're going to get slammed by Krakens like no other day. And a great hybrid item to go into for that is the Void Stone, granting magical power, protection, and a really great aura that reduces the enemy's magical protection. Again, with your Pillar of Agony, once blighted, that also reduces their protections, and that includes magical. So you're shredding a lot of magical protections from your enemy, and that kind of acts as your penetration. So it's not the worst thing if you went with the cooldown boots and you don't have penetration from your Shoes of Magi, so you're going to have your somewhat penetration from here as well. And again, like the way your ultimate works. And then the last few items is really up to you, whichever you feel like you need to. It's just really of a situational case. You can go straight into Rise of Hoodie if you just want to just cap off your magical power. As you can see, we go from 191 all the way up to 395, so it's, if you're looking to do maximum amount of damage, that is definitely the item to go into for that. If not, if you're just looking to be a little bit more of a bruiser, you can go into other items, whichever ones you need. Optional items would be something like Bancroft's Talon. It's somewhat common on Hades players because it kind of works out the way the ulti works. Let's say you trap multiple people, and instead of them trying to run away, they're trying to kill you, and that's going to lower your health. Lowering your health just means they're going to get hit by even more of your damage. You're taking damage with the way the passive works for the Bancroft's Talon. Divine Ruin, shut down healers, maybe Pestilence, whatever. It's just really up to you for the last few items. The core of this build is the boots, of course, the Breastplate of Valor, Ethereal Staff, and Voidstone. Mostly just these 3 items are the core for a Bruiser hybrid build for your Guardians. Again, the starter item, you can always sell it mid to late game, whichever you feel like you don't really need it. And of course, you just whatever last item you want to go into. If you go into something like this, you can tell you have a lot of magical power: 569 magical power, 157 physical protection, and as well as 98 magical protection. Of course, again, just you can change the items to better suit your need, because not every single game is the same as the previous game. Some games more physicals, some games more magicals. And let's go into our ultimate form. And we can see our protections spike up 273, 178, so that's where we get all of our protections there. As well as you can go into certain actives to help out your protection base. You can go into the Shell of Absorption, really great for team fights, sieging towers, Phoenix objectives, things like that. Grants tons of protections, as well as you can go into the Shield of the Underworld. This works great if you decide to go into Hydenamanian Lion for a case of they have a lot of basic attackers like hunters, assassins, maybe some warriors like, I don't know, Robin, if he ever comes back into meta. And you pick the Hydenamanian Lion, and then you go into the Shield of the Underworld, and you have a really great time, especially if they try to kill you in your ultimate form. It gets really ridiculous. As well as you can go into the style Blink, if you don't want to kind of use your 1 to get in because you're a little bit squishier. Since you're a bruiser, you can use Blink. But that's going to wrap it up for the hybrid / bruiser build, whatever you want to call it, for Hades. Again, you can apply it to some other Guardians for bruiser or solo lane. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.